and welcome to another episode of the World of Wrestling podcast. I'm Slim. Again, this week Kyle could not join us. He was again busy. I'm hoping next week to maybe get somebody else in if he is again busy, but we'll have to wait to see on that. So I guess we will start off with Raw, as we do every week. So this week's Raw kicks off with a recap of the Lesnar McIntyre match at Mania. After that, McIntyre makes his entrance and cuts a promo where he thanks the fans, except no one's there, so then he starts talking to people at home. He points to the Tron, which shows the Big Show McIntyre match, and McIntyre actually commentates over it. After that, Andrade shows up, and Zelina Vega says that Andrade is the real champion of Raw. Vega talks a lot about how the last time that Andrade and McIntyre fought, Andrade won the NXT title from Drew and injured Drew by tearing his bicep. McIntyre says tonight we're getting champion versus champion, Drew McIntyre versus Andrade. Andrade then says that he'll beat Drew. After that, we have a Money in the Bank qualifying match between Asuka and Ruby Riott. Riott starts the match by offering a handshake, but Asuka doesn't take it. The match is pretty competitive. Asuka almost gets the Asuka lock at one point, but is unsuccessful. But she does eventually lock it in and get the win shortly after. After that, Asuka cuts a promo saying that at Money in the Bank, no one is ready for Asuka. We then get a special edition of the VIP Lounge, and MVP next week. MVP says that next week we will get 3 men's Money in the Bank qualifying matches. Match number 1 is Rey Mysterio vs Buddy Murphy. That'll be a great match. Match number 2 is Aleister Black vs Austin Theory, which I would have to say that Black's winning. And match number 3 is Apollo Crews versus MVP. After that, Aleister Black is up next, and he versus Oney Lorcan. It's a very back and forth competitive match. Very, very hard hitting. Lorcan takes it to Black, and eventually Black gets the Black Mass for the win. Afterward, Aleister Black has an in-ring interview and is asked what his game plan is, and he says that his game plan is to win. Becky Lynch is up next, but before she comes out, we get a recap of the Mania match against Baszler. Becky then comes out and says she was smarter than Baszler, and that's why she won. She then calls out whoever's going to win the Money in the Bank contract. Afterwards, we then have a backstage interview with Andrade and Zelina Vega. Vega and Andrade once again saying they're better than Drew, and they're gonna. And they also talk about how they won the NXT title from Drew, and that they're gonna win against Drew later. Then we get Sarah Logan versus Shayna Baszler. Baszler absolutely destroys Logan, and she won after stomping the arm, which she does, which then breaks it. Except after the match was called off, the ring announcer said that Sarah Logan won. However, commentary says that the ring announcer was wrong and Baszler actually won. Rollins is then backstage for about 20 seconds, and he says about losing to Owens at Mania and his career has once again been crucified. Afterwards, we get Akira Tozawa vs Austin Theory. Zelina Vega is on commentary. Theory takes it to Tozawa. Tozawa starts coming back and knocks in the Iron Octopus before Theory reverses it and hits the ATL. After the match, Theory, Andrade, and Garza all attack Tozawa. Andrade hits the top rope Hell DDT thing that he did on McIntyre to take the belt from him in NXT. a backstage interview with Rey Mysterio next, who talks about Kane cashing in Money in the Bank at him, and he says that he needs to beat Murphy next week so he can win the Money in the Bank. Afterwards, Rollins is back again for another 20 seconds or so, saying that the Messiah has truly risen now. After that, we get Angel Garza versus Tahiti Miles. It was a squash match for Garza. Garza wins with the Wing Clipper. Theory and Andrade come out again, and Andrade does the top rope headlock DDT. We then get a backstage interview with the Kabuki Warriors. They walk in singing a theme song, which was quite funny. Asuka says that Ruby Riott wasn't ready for Asuka. Kairi doesn't really say anything when asked about her match against Nia. They then leave again singing their theme song. Then we have McIntyre backstage, and he is asked to respond to what Andrade and Zelina Vega said earlier. Drew says he doesn't forgive or forget what Andrade did, and then makes some promises that he'll win and claim Andrade. We then get Kairi Sane versus Nia Jax next. Kairi tries to take it to Nia, but Nia's too big and strong. Asuka is shown backstage cheering on Kairi. Nia hits the Annihilator, which is the big Samoan drop thing that she does, but it's got a gorilla press to start it off to win the match. It was a Nia match pretty much then. Charlotte's up next. Charlotte says that she chose Rhea because Rhea made a challenge to Charlotte. You didn't see Becky or Bayley making the challenge to Charlotte after she won the Rumble, but Rhea did. Charlotte says she's the biggest thing and the queen and on the top level. Some would say the top 1%. Charlotte then talks about Io Shirai and says that everyone bows down to the queen eventually. We then have a recap of the post-match comments that Bobby Lashley had after Mania. We get Lashley versus No Way Jose next. Lashley has a go at Lana for screaming all the time, so then she shuts up. The match was a squash match, and Lashley won with a spear. Rollins is back again for another 20 seconds or so, saying that he will stomp out all the haters' doubt. We then get the Viking Raiders versus Ricochet and Cedric Alexander. It was a great match. Cedric and Ricochet were in control for a great deal of the match and almost got the win a couple of times, but eventually the Viking Raiders come back with a Viking experience that was botched a lot and sort of kind of ruined the match. Sort of. It was still a good match, but the ending was a little bit screwed up, so it harmed it. We then get a backstage interview with Street Profits and Bianca Belair. The Profits talk about the Viking Raiders. Belair then brings up the fact that the Profits have never ever beaten the Viking Raiders, which pisses them off. It's main event time, and it's Drew McIntyre versus Andrade, WWE Champion versus US Champion. Andrade has Zelina Vega, Angel Garza, and Austin Theory at ringside. The match starts with McIntyre hitting a Glasgow Kiss. Then it was a fun match. Drew won eventually with Claymore, like he promised. Then, I believe it was Angel Garza came in and chop blocked Drew, and Rollins ran down and hit the stomp. Well, 2 stomps, and that's how the show ended. It was an alright show. A few weird things here and there, and most of the people that showed up on Raw are now fired. We'll talk about that later, probably at the end. Next, we'll move to Being the Elite. We'll do the first episode, because there was 3 this week. So in the first episode, it started with Matt Hardy telling us the rules of a squash match. There are 4 rules. Rule number 1, it's a 3-minute time limit. Rule number 2, jobbers can only perform one offensive move, and if it's a tag team match, only one combo move is allowed. Rule number 3, jobbers must not be in better shape or have better tans than the talent that they're putting over. And rule number 4, match can only finish when the over team hits the tag finisher of the Legion of Doom, the Acolytes, or the Steiners. We then go to the match, which is SCU versus High Risk, and it's a literal squash match. It's announced as a squash match, but just got the squash match rules. So with that, it was still a fun match, and SCU won with the Doomsday Device, which of course was the finisher of the Legion of Doom. After that, we get a triple threat match between Scorpio Sky, the member of SCU that wasn't in the match, Peter Avalon, and Brandon Cutler. It was a good match, mostly about Cutler and Avalon trying to win or not lose. In the end, Avalon was hitting his finisher on Cutler before Sky hits a TKO on Avalon on top of Cutler, and Scorpio Sky pinned them both, so they both lost. On the next episode of Being the Elite, we had an Under the Limit Battle Royal, and it started with the show started with Matt Hardy also giving the rules on the Under the Limit Battle Royal. There's 3 rules in this one. Rule number 1 is that there's a new person every 60 seconds. Number 2, jobbers can enter in groups of 2. And number 3, the winner gets the main event, Being the Elite, episode 200, and he'll get to choose the match. Episode 200 is obviously next week. That's why this week's one is split into 3 parts, so that they could do multiple things without getting it all in, instead of just having one very long episode. So the Under the Limit Battle Royal, the first person out is Frankie Kazarian, and the second person out is Scorpio Sky. So the 2 members of SCU go at it, and then out comes number 3, and it's Christopher Daniels. Christopher Daniels tries to unite SCU, but they turn around and just toss Christopher Daniels out. Number 4 is Matt Jackson. Sky gets tossed out during that. So Matt Jackson comes out and nothing really happens until Sky gets tossed out. Out comes number 5, and it's High Risk, both of them, because obviously they're jobbers, so they can enter together. Nothing really happens when they come out, they just keep fighting. Number 6 is Peter Avalon. He misses a crossbody on everyone in the ring. He just sort of went to the top rope and just walked away. He then gets kicked by everyone in the ring before he tossed himself out. Number 7 is Brandon Cutler, who was on the camera, so Peter Avalon took over the camera work while Brandon Cutler got in the ring. He got eliminated straight away. And then number 8, and the final entrant, is Nick Jackson. Before he gets in the ring, he actually goes and plays basketball with Scorpio Sky. He then gets in the ring, High Risk goes out, and Frankie Kazarian hit it underneath the ring. Matt and Nick go back and forth before Frankie Kazarian comes back in, but he doesn't stay in there for very long. Frankie Kazarian gets eliminated after that. Then Matt and Nick fight on the apron. Nick gets them in after hitting a German suplex on the apron. Nick says that the main event of Being the Elite 200 will be Nick Jackson versus Matt Jackson. We then had a 3rd episode, which was just a big hype package sort of thing for the 200th episode of Being the Elite. We then get AEW Dark after that, and Dark only has one match, and it is Billy with Austin Gunn versus Sean Spears. The match starts with Spears staying away from Billy. The match is slow because Spears mostly tries to stay away from Billy Gunn. Spears takes control after sending Gunn into 2 ring posts. Spears, after that, does do the Tommaso Ciampa sit on the apron, clap, and pays back like he's very, very happy and psychotic. Spears wins after Gunn leaps at Spears, who's in the corner. Spears gets out of the way, hits the C4, 1, 2, 3. We'll move on to AEW Dynamite now, and the show starts with Jake Roberts and Colt Cabana talking about Lance Archer. Chris Jericho is again on commentary. The show kicks off with Archer versus Colt Cabana. Archer once again decks someone in the crowd, quite funny. He pushes Colt over before the bell rings. He then finishes his entrance and takes it to Colt. By that stage, the bell had already rang. He was still standing up there, taking his jacket off and whatnot, and the bell had already rung. Colt Cabana gets some offense in, but Archer always manages to stop him. It was pretty back and forth in some parts, but Archer wins up the blackout. Next up, we get a video package from Britt Baker, who goes through the rules of being a role model. Not going to go through them. We then get some people talking about who's going to win between Moxley and Hager. This continues throughout the night. There's people from ESPN, there's Taz and other commentators and other people from MMA and whatnot talking about who's going to win the main event. But next up, we get Cassandra Golden versus Britt Baker. It was a squash match. Baker wins after putting Holden's mouth on the bottom rope and stomping it like she did with Yuka Sakazaki, but the match doesn't get called off when she does it. She just picks up 3 count. We then get the first episode, I hope it's showed in the first episode, of the Bubbly Bunch, which is Inner Circle doing the Brady Bunch stuff. It was quite funny. Afterwards, we get Shug D, also known as Pineapple Pete, versus Sammy Guevara. It was pretty much a squash match. Shug D doesn't really get any offense in, but Sammy couldn't put him away until he hit a Dominic Dijakovic Feast Your Eyes for the win. Afterwards, Sammy Guevara gets on the mic and says that the match was light work. He says he'll beat the shit out of Darby in the first round of the tournament, that match will take place next week, along with the other first round match, which is Kip Sabian versus Dustin Rhodes. Sammy Guevara then attacks Shug D again before Darby comes out and runs him off. Up next, we get Chuck Taylor with Orange Cassidy versus Kip Sabian with Penelope Ford. It was a very fun back and forth match. Kip wins after Jimmy Havoc, who was at ringside in the crowd, attacked Orange Cassidy. Ford hits a Hurricanrana and Sabian rolls up Chucky T. Next, we get Shawn Spears versus Justin Law. Spears doesn't even take his shirt off. Spears also gets cocky, lets Law pin him, almost gets beat, which pisses him off. Spears then hits C4 for the win. Main event time, and it's an empty arena match, no holds barred, for the AEW World Championship. JR is the only person on commentary. It's Jake Hager versus Jon Moxley, and the match starts with nobody taking control. Nobody takes control of the whole match, really. It's very MMA style, like they're just going for takedowns and whatnot. Every time one person tries to take control, they get stopped. Hager locks in the triangle, but Moxley gets to the ropes. Hager then takes control by getting a chair. He goes to launder Moxley into the chair that he set up in the corner. Mox doesn't. He gets out of the launder, but eventually still goes into it anyway. Hager locks him with an ankle lock, but Moxley flips out of it. That sends Hager to the outside. He gets back in the ring, gets dropped with a butterfly DDT, then gets locked into a submission. Hager then powers out of it. Hager low blows Moxley. Moxley does then get the chair thrown in Hager's face, hits a paradigm shift on the chair for a 3 count, and retains the AEW World Championship. We'll move on to NXT now. The show starts with a recap of the Gargano Champion match. And afterwards, the first match of the night is Finn Balor versus Fabian Aichner with Marcel Bartel. It was an alright match. It wasn't anything great, wasn't anything bad. It was alright. Balor wins with the coup de grace in the 1916. We then get a recap of the Tegan Nox Dakota Kai rivalry. After that, Charlotte has a video package where she talks about winning the NXT title and what she's going to do. She also says that she's going to dominate the past, present, and future. Charlotte then says she'll beat everyone in NXT to prove she's the GOAT. We then get Aaliyah versus Xia Li. Xia Li takes it to Aaliyah, and Aaliyah then runs around the ring, uses the ref as a shield, and goes for the ropes, and she eventually gets the advantage. But Xia Li's short, but quickly stops that and gets the win after hitting a flurry of strikes, then a twisting cyclone kick to the back of the grounded Aaliyah for the 3 count. We then get the Cruiserweight Championship interim champion tournament announcement thing. And we get a rundown of who's in it. We get Swerve versus Tozawa up next. This is a match in the tournament. It's a round robin like the G1 is in New Japan too. So first matches don't mean a whole lot. It just means that some people will have more points than the others. But I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. I reckon Drake Maverick's going to win it. It was a very good match. Tozawa comes close to winning a few times. He locks in a series of submissions and almost wins. It gets super fast paced after that, and Tozawa kicks out of a house call from Swerve. That was very close too. The finish does come when Tozawa hits a cyclone kick, then a top rope sunhome for the 3. Tozawa has a post-match interview where he says that he'll win the title back. And after that, we get a look at Phantasma. He's going to be in 2 of the tournament, and I believe he's got a match next week. Can't remember, I didn't write it down. We then get Tegan Nox versus Reina Gonzalez. The match starts very one-sided, Gonzalez dominated Nox. Kai gets involved, sort of. She does, but it's nothing really. Shotzi Blackheart then shows up, and Tegan Nox wins after Shotzi takes out Dakota Kai, and Gonzalez goes to chokeslam Shotzi, but instead Tegan Nox rolls up Gonzalez for the 3. It was weird and sort of short. Yeah, I thought it was going to go for longer, but it didn't. Keith Lee then has a video package showing his path for NXT. And then we get Dexter Lumis versus Tahiti Miles. It was pretty one-sided. Lumis absolutely dominated the match. Miles got in some offense, but then a spine buster, and Lumis won. Well, the announcers called it Manacon device. It sort of is, sort of isn't. It's like Hager's triangle choke that he does, but it's sort of in the position of an anaconda vice. He just hasn't locked the arm. After that, oh yeah, that's right. During the night, we got Drew sitting on his couch waiting for Cole to show up so they can be there face to face. But after the Dexter Lumis match, we get Cole sending in another video where he says that he was definitely not going to show up anyway, and nobody deserves a shot at the NXT title. He also says that Undisputed Era will regain the belts again, and that's undisputed. Dream then comes out, talks about Cole being champ. Bella then comes out and has a go at Dream because Dream said that Cole is arguably the greatest NXT champion. Dream then challenges Finn Balor to a match next week. After that, what's his name? Melvin Bivens or whatever it is. Whatever, He comes out and says that whoever wins the NXT tag titles will lose them to Indus Sher. It's main event time, and Fish and Strong of Undisputed Era versus Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne's replacement, who was chosen by Pete Dunne himself, Timothy Thatcher, for the NXT Tag Team titles. Before the match, Pete Dunne is on the Tron and says that he handpicked Thatcher, as I said. It was a great technical match to start with between Riddle and Fish. Lots of things happened there. There was lots and lots and lots of things. It was a very, very good match. Lumis at one stage was standing in the crowd looking on. And eventually Thatcher locks in the Fujiwara armbar for the win. The show closes. Ciampa saying he's done with Gargano and Candice. He says that Gargano's a better man before being attacked by Killer Cross. Scarlett Bordeaux was there too. This week's NXT UK was just a clip show of certain people selecting their favourite matches from their careers in WWE. Then SmackDown this week, the show opens with a graphic saying that Howard Finkel died. Then we get a moment of bliss with Voice and Cross, obviously, and their guest is Strowman. They ask Braun about Bray. Braun says that Bray didn't create him, and Bray's going to get these hands. Braun then spots a present. He thinks it's from Bliss, but it's actually from Bray, and it was his sheet mask. Picture of Braun in the mask then appears on the screen. After that, we get Sasha Banks versus Tamina. Bayley's on commentary. Before the match, we get a recap of what happened last week. The match was sort of alright. Tamina had control at the start. Sasha took control at some point. Tamina comes back until Bayley distracts her. Lacey comes down, attacks Bayley. Tamina then hits a super kick on Sasha on the outside, threw her back in the ring, hit another super kick for the win. Jey Uso cuts a backstage promo saying he'll win the tag belts tonight. Lacey then also has a backstage interview saying she's going to get rid of Sasha. Then Sheamus took on Denzel Dejournette. Dejournette takes down Sheamus, start the match, but Sheamus then hits a whole bunch of strikes and whatnot, and a brogue kick from him. Sheamus then has a go at Cole because he keeps talking about Jeff Hardy, one of the Sheamus finishers wrestling. We then get part 2 of the Jeff Hardy story. Carmella goes up to Dana Brooke after this and has a go at her for having a Money in the Bank qualifying match instead of getting ready to face Bliss and Cross for the tag titles next week. Then that transitions to Naomi versus Dana Brooke for the Money in the Bank qualifying match. It was a back and forth match. The end of the match is a rear view reversed into a pin. Naomi kicks out, hits a rear view. for a 2 count, misses a split leg moonsault. Dana gets a pin off that. She was quite excited after that. She went up and hugged Cole and everything. After that, we get a recap of the Otis and Mandy stuff. Then Sonya comes out, tries to reconcile with Mandy. Sonya starts off by trying to apologise and whatnot and explain things, and then turns around and says that Mandy's the most selfish person she's ever met. She goes on to say that she's going to ruin Mandy's life. Dolph comes out as Sonya and Mandy are about to fight. He says that he'll make everything up to Mandy. Sonya then attacks Mandy before Otis comes out. He goes after Ziggler, who gets out of there. Him and Sonya are walking up the ramp before he comes back to try to attack Otis, but he gets catapulted instead. Cole then talks about Howard Finkel, and we get a video package showing the life of the Fink. Then The Miz says that he'll win the triple threat match to retain the title. Then there's a video package that's on the Forgotten Sons. We then get Cesaro with Nakamura versus Bryan with Gulak, Money in the Bank qualifying match. During the match, we do get another Truth Will Be Heard thing that they did for the Otis and Mandy storyline. So I wonder what that's about. Daniel Bryan targets Cesaro's left arm. It was a very back and forth match. Very good. Cesaro hits the GTS and locks it across face. Bryan reverses it into a yes lock. Cesaro gets out of it, and then Bryan locks in the yes lock for the submission. While that was happening, before Cesaro tapped out, Nakamura tried to get in the ring, but Gulak stopped him, and then Cesaro tapped out. Big E then cuts a promo saying that he'll win the tag belts. Elias then he's about to come out for a performance, but he's attacked by Corbin. Corbin then jams Elias's hand between two road cases before dragging him to another part of the backstage area. We get an ad break here. Then we cut back and Corbin's attacking Elias with his scepter. Corbin then says that he wants Elias to sing for him and bow down, and as Elias starts getting up, Corbin smashes the guitar over Elias's back. After that, we have main event, and it's triple threat match for the SmackDown Tag Team titles involving the 3 members who didn't compete at WrestleMania, so The Miz, Jey Uso, and Big E. The match starts with E being on top before The Miz and Jey work together to put Big E through the announcers table. It was a fast-paced match after that. Miz hits the skull-crushing finale, Jey kicks out. Miz locks in the figure 4 before Big E breaks it up, and then pretty much picks up The Miz, hits the big ending, and wins the match and the tag belts again. Kofi and Woods are shown celebrating from home, and then we'll move on to 205 Live. This week's episode of 205 Live was a clip show, and it was the Brian Kendrick pick the matches, which were his Cruiserweight Championship match against Kota Ibushi and the WrestleMania 6 match between Hogan and Warrior, because they're the 2 matches that influenced the Brian Kendrick. So that was this week of wrestling. As I say, we'll try to get other people on if Cole can't. I'll try and work that out. Obviously, a whole bunch of people also got fired this week. Some of them were sort of expected, some of them weren't. Drake Maverick's allowed to compete in the Cruiserweight title picture until the end of this tournament, and then he's gone unless he wins the belt, which he will, I'd say. But other than that, that'll be it for this week's podcast. See you later.